Alright, in this footage right here, you can see this halfway marker that I talk about in my videos, and you can obviously see that it is, the water line is uh, in front of it. You see no water beyond it. And one of the other things is it's magnified, looming, lensing, whatever you want to call it. Um, One of the things that I am persistent at is doing observations. Um, I've been at this for almost 4 years now, doing these observations, trying to stay at pretty much the same camera height. But in this footage, actually at Bayport at the fishing pier part, standing up on a seawall, tide is very low, and um, it makes my camera. I'm at a much higher perspective level than in some of the other footage that I'm going to put up. Um, One of the things that I kind of consider myself as is a observational learning channel. Um, the proof is in the details and in the pudding. If one was to go back and start looking at a bunch of my footage and then start doing their own comparison, um, my channel is a great channel for research. You can take these comparisons, take screenshots, whatever you want to do. Um, One of my bad habits is that I'm always usually at full zoom. Not always, but a lot of times I am at full zoom. And you'll notice how this boat looks like it's floating in the air. And a globe guy would say, "Well, hell, where's the water beyond this, Mister Wide Awake? There ain't no water there. You're proving the curvature of Earth right here." Why do they say that? Because they are so indoctrinated into that belief that we live on this spinning ball that they will refuse to really even pay attention to the details that us flat earthers are putting out. Um, um, I don't claim to be the best guy out here, but one of the things I do claim, I do claim that I'm probably one of the most persistent observers that is in the flat Earth community. Now, take that as you will. I'm not bragging. Matter of fact, my ego and my pride had made me go back and unlist a lot of my videos. Um, so I am going to go back and make these unlisted videos public. I just realized as I was going through my channel videos how many of them that I still have unlisted. I didn't realize I had that many videos, and I also didn't realize when I kind of had a um, pissed off moment, I went back and I unlisted a lot of my footage. So I will be putting them back up for people to use. Now here's a tree too that I'd been filming for years out there on the water. That got brought in from one of the storms. It went out there and got stuck on the bottom, and it's in a lot of my footage. And you can see at times how it will look closer, how to look farther away. And here, like this boat that you're watching appears to be getting, sucked in bottom first. Um, and that's something that, all the Globers say, oh, it's vanishing bottom up. Well, look at that other boat that's farther, even farther out there. It looks like it's being chopped off, but it's not actually. It's an illusion caused from the weather conditions. Our climate conditions all have a optical effect to what we're seeing. Now, what I have now, here's the Bayport bird rack that I'm coming across. It has 7 slats across the top, and as you see, when you get down to like the 6th one, um, it's all compressed. It's all compressed into that mirroring. And this is one of the things that I'm always, talking about is things are being compressed. And when things get compressed, it's not just compressing the objects. It's compressing everything, including the horizon. It's pulling everything downward. That's why you cannot see water beyond. Um, and there's many things. in my footage that, you know, cries, look at me, look at me, pay attention to these details, pay attention to these details. And I even find that a lot of the flat earthers just, you know, maybe they get bored with my long observations. I don't know, you know. Like I said, I've been pretty persistent. I'm constantly out here. One of the things I can say is I suck at editing. I am no good at editing. And, you know, if anybody ever wants to confront me, or not confront me, but just ask me, you know, if I need some help, um, man, would I appreciate it. Because with all the good flat earth guys out there that really have the ability to um, put everything into perspective and have the editing skills to, um, you know, really bring out some of my videos and use them um, to show all of these different effects that we get, and to show how refraction really is not matching what we actually observe in reality. You know, science has always got their belief saying, you know, all this crap about refraction is pulling things up from behind the curve. And in my eyes, it's actually what causes us not to be able to see at our full potential. But now when we have great visibility, which the second part of this video will be about, and you can actually just take this footage alone and do some comparisons and say, holy crap, you know, there is a big difference in this. Now, I'm not at full zoom on this particular part, but what I plan on doing is taking this day and the day that of the second observation that I'm going to make here in this video, and make one big video out of it. It's got a lot of details in it. It's got a lot of proofs in it. And, you know, if you take into consideration a lot of this stuff that occurs on the horizon, you'll start seeing how this mirroring effects, you know, causes a lot of illusions. One of the biggest illusions is that it makes you look like you're living on a curve, and you're not. And that damn phone behind me, if it rings one more time, I'm going to unplug it because it's kind of annoying, disturbing. But again, you know, you see how this boat is kind of going back and forth. He goes out and then he starts coming back in, then he turns again. But you'll notice too how I'll try to focus in on these a little bit better as I'm, you know, filming this. And that's another thing too. A guy named Steve Hawkins, who's just as bad as Bob the Science Guy. A couple of clowns, if you ask me. He just recently subscribed to my channel, and you know, I went to his channel. I was going to thank him for, you know, subscribing to me, but then I found him mocking and ridiculing uh, the plain truth. You know, he was talking about, oh, the guy doesn't know how to use a camera. You know, he's got to be able to use the focus. Well, let me tell you something, people. I've done so many observations that if you have a distorted object out there being distorted by the climate or the weather conditions, you cannot bring that thing into focus. All you're focusing on is the distorted object, which you'll see in this little bit of footage how some of this distortion, you just can't focus on it, folks. But when you have a good day of visibility, sure, you can focus on it a little bit better, but you still get distortion. Hang on. That's what I hate about being interrupted, because now I lost my train of thought. But also, you'll see in here is this mirroring. You know, everything's mirrored. What's above is just being mirrored below. So this boat is out there. He is on water. He looks like he's floating in the air. But again, that's just an illusion caused from many different effects that are occurring in this footage. You know, number one is, you know, my angular resolution isn't as good due to the fact of the climate, the weather. Um, it's actually causing an effect that pulls everything down and mirrors it out. I mean, you can actually see how this is mirroring even the clouds out there on the horizon. But um, again, it's all in the details. I can even see a crab trap right in that little part of that footage that is floating in the air out there. But again, people got to use some critical thinking. Um, one of the biggest and hardest things to do is put that spinning ball out of your mind and really observe what you're seeing. Um, and then critically thinking about what science tells you about this refraction. Um, let me tell you, people, they like to flip things around, turn things upside down, make the opposite out of something that, just turn it upside down and tell you that you have to believe in this because this has been proven by mainstream science for years and years and years. And, the proof of the globe, 2,000 years ago, the Greeks knew the earth was round. But, there's so many depictions of a flat earth. Now, I have this thing about concavity, and I'm not talking about the Stephen Lord Christ concavity. There's a picture of, what shows a flat Earth, and it looks like kind of like a Russian roulette table with the center of Earth higher in perspective than the bottom part, and then it comes up to the edges. It's like a square with the angels on each corner, or the winds coming from each corner, however you want to perceive that as. But um, this is the kind of concavity that I would suspect that if there is any concavity, that it would be so slight that you really wouldn't notice it. But I'm still gonna be the pig in the middle because I realize that a lot of these optical effects can either pull things down or stretch things up, all depending again on these weather conditions, climate conditions, whatever you want to call them. A lot of people are used to the atmospheric conditions, but let's pull that spear out of there and replace it with plane. But if you do that, then the average person that may watch your video might not understand what you're talking about. So in turn, I like to just use the weather conditions or the climate conditions. I think that's a better understanding. Now, this next part coming up is going to be on a day that I was actually lower to the water, um, but I had a much better day of visibility. And when you get these days of visibility, this is when, these globe heads will say, oh, refraction is pulling all that up in plain sight. Well, it's pretty much, all right, it has to be pretty selective to, not match um, the globe when you get a good day of visibility, because there's no way that from my 6-foot vantage point here, or maybe a little bit above, because um, where I'm standing on a corner where I can look back at uh, the Bayport fishing pier and see the seawall from this vantage point. So I'm on that little corner, and some of my videos you'll see it. It's off to the right when I'm filming at Bayport. Um, that you can see this land to the right at the edge of the water. And I'm usually standing on that corner, or this particular day I was standing on that corner. And I even took a little video with my cell phone showing where the water line was compared to where my tripod and camera was set up. And on that first part of the video, when I put the other part up, you'll see when I zoom back, you'll see that I'm at the Bayport Fishing Pier, and my tripod is up. It is a low tide, and um, that makes me, possibly like 10, 12 feet up off the water, where this one I am like 6 feet. So I'm doubling my height on the other part of the footage, where on this part I'm half that height. But not only can you see, water well beyond, but you also see this hidden water that's even further beyond this boat that you may think is sky. Now here is Cutter's Rock, and I find it, and as I've been going back through and reviewing my footage, I find that I have caught it, um, you know, a couple of times. This isn't the Billy Steels. This one was actually the Cutter's Rock, and yeah, I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes. I misidentified Cutter's Rock with Billy Steels at one point. Um, and I just put out a video showing the corrections with some different footage. It wasn't even this footage. This is different footage from that correction that I did. Um, and again, look at the distance, where you may think that that is sky out there. No, that is water. That is water. That strip that's above the water, the visible water, there is more water there. And that's why you got to go and look at Mitchell from Australia's video. See, this is so far out that even if I went full zoom and I, tried to work my focal point, I am not going to be able to see that, because it's beyond me being able to resolve the actual water. So the visible water line is what I can resolve. The farther water is what I can't resolve. And if anybody's been following my channel, recently, I think it was for Mother's Day, Taboo Conspiracy's wife took over um, the video, and she narrated it, and she used some of my pictures that I took from my camera at a very low perspective, even lower than this. I'm pretty sure I was like at 30 inches above the water, or 28, something like that. I'm not sure if my tripod was sitting in the edge of the water, but I know that particular day I was trying to get pictures as close to the water as I could. Now I do even have footage from where I was 15 inches above the water, where I could actually see the Hernando Beach Islands, 4.84 miles away from a place called Pine Island. I've done a lot of filming in like 3 places at Bayport. One is where I can turn around and look and see this aluminum observation deck. Um, and actually, you can see that observation deck on that corner that I'm talking about, where this is being filmed from. And then I filmed from, the fishing pier part of Bayport too, where I'm up on the seawall. Sometimes I put my camera down low, sometimes I put my camera up high. And I've got some interesting footage I might put at the end of this, of that, if I have a chance. Now, too, here, look at this boat that's well beyond that bigger boat. I mean, he's perspectively higher in the water, okay, higher up, than that bigger boat. Why? Because he is further out there. And I am able to resolve the water that's farther out there. And again, this is due to just having good visibility. And that's one thing that, my channel is good for, observational research. If one really wants to really search for truth for themselves, all they have to do is come to my channel and start looking through my videos, and you'll even hear me, I'll zoom in and I'll say I'm at full zoom, or, it's pretty easy to tell when I'm at full zoom. Because, I mean, I do pull some of these boats in. That's something, too, that I noticed at sometimes when I'm at Pine Island and I zoom out to the Hernando Beach, some of these boats are like huge. Um, and that's why I say that there's looming or magnification going on all the time. And when you get this magnification, it pulls it in, and everything that's beyond that in the background gets pulled down, and you no longer get to see the water. Now, there was that halfway point right there, and I should have actually took some pictures, and I might go back and take a picture of that first part and that one. But again, this is why I do my videos. I wanted to share them with people because I thought by sharing them that more people would appreciate the time that I have put into these and use them to do their own research, and also to make their own videos from it. And here's this boat again that I go back to, and watch how it turns. Okay, we get a different angle of the boat, and by having a different angle, it kind of looks like part of it is disappearing, but it's really not. I mean, you can actually see the water or the light reflecting off the nose of that boat um, as it turns, okay, because it's getting or it might have been off the rear of the boat, something chrome on it or whatnot, but you can also tell that this boat is being compressed a little bit. So again, that's why you can't see the water beyond, because it's being compressed down. But again, I do have good visibility to a certain point. Say to this boat, you can obviously see that this boat's rear end or the back of the boat is still above the water. And another thing is I can tell when these boats are actually going directly across from me or going on an angle. If you look at the back of that boat, you see these two cross members going up. And if they're not lined up with each other, then that means that boat is actually going away from me. It's not going straight across from me. It's literally going away because of the angle. Okay, I can tell that it's going away because of the angle. And this is one thing too that I'll try to point out in some of my future videos, what to pay attention to as far as the details go. And maybe, hopefully, more people will start seeing that this should be impossible for me to see Cutter's Rock, the beacon. It's a beacon light is what it is, and it's for boaters to find the proper channel or find their way back when they're offshore, back to their channel markers or their channel where they're going to come back in. Because you can get lost out there very easily if you didn't have these beacon lights out there kind of helping you find your way back to shore. And again, look at this water well beyond. You can see it without a problem now. Why? Because I'm getting a little better angle. Less light is shining on this background. That's something too. And I got a clear open sky. That water is cut off. Also having the difference in the climate conditions um, causes all this stuff in the background to be hidden. It hides it in that light, um, and in other effects that are occurring. And you can have multiple effects, excuse me, multiple effects that causes different optical illusions. Now, somebody might say, well, Wide Awake, you're being, this is an optical illusion here, and you're seeing over the curvature of Earth. No, I'm not. I'm actually in line of sight with this boat. And, if these bird brains like Stephen Hawkins there, or not Stephen Hawkins, what was his name? Sean Hawkins, want to use science to disprove and debunk me, go right ahead, because you'll have to go through a lot of videos, and then you'll have to show and prove how something that's beyond a hill or a curve can literally get yanked up, pulled up, and brought right into perfectly flat view of you, right in your line of sight. Okay, These guys are out there to discourage us, and I have been discouraged. And like I said, my ego, my pride got in my way. I actually was kind of like in a little dispute with another flat earther. He said to me that he didn't even know who I was, and I was full of shit, or something like that. So I got mad and went and just started deleting all my videos because I was just going to shut my channel down. But, the more I think about it, I said, out of somebody that's been persistent as I have, um, I would be just wasting all of my stuff. Now, one of the things that people got to take into consideration is if they want to use this my footage for research, they need to do it soon before um, YouTube totally cuts us all out and we're all back to square one with nothing on our channels, because they are shutting channels down, which I think is stupid, but they are doing it. All right, hang on one second here. I'm gonna put in a couple more videos here. Actually, I'm gonna do it here in a second when I get to a good place to do a transition. Otherwise, um, it might come out really weird with my audio. Um, but I'm going to stop right here, put in a transition, and then add in those videos. There's the water right here in these weeds. So I'm not far. Yeah, I'm not far off the weeds at all. Get back on my boat here. I want to zoom back in on it. All right. I just wanted to make a short little video of this, just so you could see that that water is not very far into them weeds. Okay. And here's the view from here. I might put my phone up just like this. Now, this next part is from my GoPro camera. I was using it instead of my, well, I didn't have my B700 at this time. But this was on a day where we had this extremely high tide. It was called a super tide. And I just wanted to show you where my camera was set. I had it set up at this height during this next part of my observation. And then, of course, I set my camera right down on the ground um, to just give a different perspective of everything. But what gets me is you can still see um, Fiddler's Point. And that's something, too, I'll bring up in some of my other videos. Fiddler's Point is only about 1 mile away. But, at this height, yeah, part of it is being lost. Lost in the resolution. You cannot pick it up. But let me move on to the next part. All right, this next part, this is from that height. Look at not only where the water line is on the Bayport Bird Rack. This is the Bayport Bird Rack. But also look how compressed it is. It is smashed down to the ground. On this day that we had this extremely high tide, I noticed how weird the light looked. The light looked really strange out over the water. It just had this, I don't know, just a totally different look. And I've seen it before, but on this particular day, it did compress things. But what was funny was when I normally look to my south over the top of this land, you don't see any water. And it's due to it being, like I say, everything's being magnified. Everything beyond is getting crunched down. All right, even look at where that water line was on that corner. Again, sometimes you might want to pause my videos and take a screenshot and see that this water is up much higher than on other days. And it's not due to it being refracted above the curvature of Earth. It's because I do have a limit to my visibility on this day, and it stops at a certain point, and any water beyond it is being hidden within that light. So again, I'm not going to go through all of this footage, but I did put this up in one of my videos. It might be unlisted now, but I'm not sure exactly what I titled it. It might have been Super Tide or something of that nature. I have no idea. But again, on this particular day, I was, like going, wow, look here. I can see the water. And it started making a lot of sense to me how this magnification, um, and you get difference. It isn't always the same. It's always different. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But when you get those really, really clear days of visibility, man, does it really make sense. And also consider this: if you had say you just had a pizza sitting, on a table. Say it was a big pizza. The crust is up higher along the edges, um, and you can even look at it and see the grease on it. But just say you poured water on that. The water's going to fill in the little low dip spots. It's going to fill in the little valleys, and the other parts that are higher is going to be above the water. Um, but the crust will retain the water that's on top of that pizza. Now, try pouring water on a freaking ball, or you got a bowl, right? You can put water in the bowl; it holds it, right? Because it's meant to hold water. Um, Now, flip that bowl over and pour water on it. It doesn't hold it. Why? Because Earth is not a spinning ball. Um, and again, science has to make things so complicated. Look here, you can even see some of the islands that I see from Pine Island um, in the background of this land. That again, usually I don't see shit back there. It's all just whited out, hidden in the light. But on this particular day, I could see it. And again, it's not due to refraction pulling it up over that big curve they claim. Even boats going by. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, again, um, I just want to say that there's been many times that I got depressed, discouraged, and wanted to just stop making videos. But again, if I can get somebody to help me do some editing, and there's many guys out there, not just Taboo. Taboo was always my uh, main man to go to and share some of my footage with, and he'd make a video. But I realized that this man has not only got 5 kids now. His wife recently had a baby. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Taboo Conspiracy. And congratulations to the baby being born into a um, very loving family, I'm sure, and a family that's searching for truth for themselves. He's very Christian, and I appreciate all the help that he's given me in the past, and you know, give him a lot of credit because he's trying to start his own business. He's on Globebusters. I mean, the man's got his plate full. So I can understand him not wanting to or not having the time to help me do some of this editing. I'm actually calling out for some of these other flat earth guys out there, or girls, okay, women. If they want to get in on this, please feel free to use my stuff. I don't really even care about credit anymore. You don't have to give me credit. Um, because this is not about credit. This is not about becoming famous. This is not about making money for me. This is about finding truth and sharing it with people that are looking for truth for themselves too. All right. Well, I hope I've explained myself pretty good in this, and people will start looking at some of my footage a little bit more. And again, I'm going to take a bunch of those unlisted videos. I'm going to make them public again. So those that are, subscribe to me, don't be surprised that you don't start getting hit with a lot of notifications that, I'm putting up a lot of videos. I'm not. I'm just, um, pulling them out of being unlisted and making them public again. Again, I appreciate everybody that, subscribes to me. I appreciate those that are using my work and helping show proof of truth. So again, everybody out there that helps me out, much appreciated. And I'm not going nowhere unless YouTube kills my channel, strikes me out, or totally does away with all of us flat earthers. We know that they are censoring us. Somebody said in one of my videos, well, I got notified of your video and I don't even subscribe to you, so where's the censorship? Well, man, go to YouTube. There's a video out there that director of YouTube is basically saying they want to censor us. They want to shut us down. Now, why are we such a big threat to them? Because truth is the new hate speech. Have a good day, folks. And again, appreciate all my subscribers and, even some of the people that has helped me out. Appreciate you guys. The guy that made my intro. I'm going to kind of go back and start using this shorter one only because I think people are, number one, it's loud. I've tried to cut down the sound and all, but two, it's long, and I think that might even get people bored. Yeah, observations can be very boring, but they also can be very educational. So think of my channel as an observational learning channel. You can learn from them, and you don't even have to believe me. Just watch the videos. I think they speak louder than my words, and they explain things better than I can. Look at here. You see a pontoon boat way out there, baby. Way out there. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, folks.